Yes, hello. Welcome again. Today we're going to discuss a principle of homeostasis. Principle of homeostasis. That is, how does homeostasis work? How does it work? That is principle of homeostasis. Uh, that principle of homeostasis is called feedback mechanism. So it works through a feedback mechanism. I don't know if you still remember definition of homeostasis. Do you? Yes. Yes. Homeostasis is what? Is a self-regulating mechanism that aims at maintaining the internal environment, okay, despite the changes in the external environment. Say the internal environment is the immediate environment of the cells, including the tissue fluid, while the external environment is simply where the immediate surrounding of the organism, the external, that is whether it is water, aquatic, or land, terrestrial. Okay, so how does how does homeostasis work? That is, it works through what you call a feedback mechanism. So we are discussing the uh, principle of homeostasis. Okay, so what is this? How is what is this principle, or what is the name of the principle? A feedback mechanism. How does it work? Or before that, what is feedback mechanism? Is that any mechanism involved in regulating the internal environment of an organism. Any mechanism which maintains the internal environment of organism is that feedback mechanism. I told you that hypothalamus is the one responsible for blowing the whistle that there is a problem here, the hypothalamus in the brain. And then now other parts of the body respond accordingly. That is feedback mechanism. Feedback mechanism. There are two types of feedback mechanisms. Two: negative feedback and positive feedback. So two: negative and positive feedback. Okay, let's start with negative feedback mechanism. Negative feedback mechanism is this one occurs when a corrective measure is applied and the condition is brought back to normal. I don't know if you get that. Negative feedback. I say that it is when there's a problem, okay, and a corrective mechanism is applied. Some form of correction is taken, and action is taken, and the condition is brought back to normal where it was. Then that is negative feedback. Remember, what is homeostasis? What is the main thing in homeostasis? To maintain constant internal environment. That is, so suppose it rises. Let's use temperature for instance. Suppose temperature rises beyond the normal. In human being, what is the constant body temperature? Around that 7. Around that 7. Fluctuates around that 7. Suppose it goes to 38, 39, 40. Very dangerous. So that is already a danger. Hypothalamus will sense it, transmit impulses to places where they are supposed to respond, and then correction is done. Maybe some form of sweating occurs, vasodilation of blood vessels, and is brought back to normal. That is called negative feedback. Negative feedback. Suppose something like a condition like blood sugar. Blood sugar is going down, blood sugar is going down, the glucose in blood is going down. In a sense, an impulse is transmitted to the concerned organs, the pancreas, to release hormones like glucagon, and then it is brought back to normal. That is called negative feedback. So what is negative feedback? We've simply said when a corrective mechanism is applied and the condition is restored, returned to normal, then that is called negative feedback. Okay, say that if there was an increase, okay, and if there was an increase in the level and it is not supposed to increase, then a correction is done to bring it back to normal. Maybe there is a decrease and it is not supposed to be that way, correction is done, brought back to normal. That is called negative feedback. Okay, let's talk about positive feedback. Positive feedback is totally the opposite of negative feedback. If you have understood negative feedback, then you already have positive feedback. So what is positive feedback mechanism? Okay, so in this, a change below or above the normal is not restored to normal, or it is not corrected. It's very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Yes, a change below or above the normal is not corrected. So very unfortunate. That's called positive feedback. It does not cooperate. You try to rescue it and it cannot. It it does not cooperate. That is called positive feedback mechanism. Positive feedback mechanism. So, for instance, yes, let's go back to thermoregulation, the temperature regulation. Suppose there is a slight increase in temperature, and then, of course, hypothalamus will sense it, transmit an impulse to parts of the body, and correction now is supposed to be done. And the correction is tried to reduce the temperature back to normal. Let's use temperature. Maybe it has risen to 40 for human being, a case of human being, which is not supposed to. Some correction has been done, sweating here and there, and for positive feedback, it is not restored back to normal. It even go to 41, 42, and it goes higher. Then that is called positive feedback. Or suppose there was a drop and some correction is done. Try some trial trying to correct it, and then instead of coming back to normal, it drops further. That is positive feedback. I don't know if you get it. You gotten it? Good. Yeah, good. So we have two types of feedback mechanisms: negative and positive. Negative means it is the correction is taken and it is restored back to normal. But positive feedback means that in the process of trying it to bring it to normal, if it is rising, it rises even further. If it is excess, it moves, it becomes higher than that. If it was dropping, maybe there was a deficiency of something, it moves towards further deficiency. That is called positive feedback. It's called positive feedback. So homeostasis works through a feedback mechanism. And which one now is out of the two? We have two, negative and positive. Which one is responsible to restore things back to normal? Positive or negative? Negative. It brings back to normal. Positive cannot be brought back to normal. See it further excess. If there was an arrow, you'd see it moving further. If it was moving down, moves further. That is positive. But for negative, it will rise. If it was not supposed to rise, correction is done, brought back to normal. If it was dropping, correction is done, it is brought back to normal. So remember, homeostasis is just to work, maintain it constant. It should not move above the normal, not below the normal. So optimal. Optimal. Thank you so much. Till next time. Goodbye.